And this is why the scriptures tell us not to behold anybody's beauty. It's very dangerous. I want to start by giving all honor, all praise, and glory to Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, Bashem Rachak Wadash. Double honors to the elder apostles and bishops of the great millstone that rule well. Peace, blessings, and salutations to the hopeful elect tabernacle of David, scattered abroad across the four winds of the earth. Now, obviously, there's some nigga shit, but it's always a lesson in a lot of these type of situations Jake get themselves into. Because Jake, they lack wisdom. Scriptures say they're destroyed for the lack of knowledge. So Jake always get caught up, and they end up in bad situations that could have been avoided. But at the end of the day, judgments is the Most High's. He's known by the judgments that he executes. You get killed by the sword. That was a judgment. Matter of fact, let me get that in Job. And that's why the scriptures say, whoever perished being innocent, and where were the righteous cut off. So let me grab this real quick before I get into it. This is Job 19:29. Be afraid of the sword, for wrath bringeth the punishments of the sword, that you may know there is a judgment. And of course, that's the case with this situation. The Jake that you see on the left, which, appears he's holding, I guess, his daughter. She, still an infant, and now she's going to grow up without a father. But, her father, where he messed up at was he had no business on social media, gazing at another man's woman, which these women are so out of order. They get on the internet and they advertise themselves as if they're not single anyway. I mean, look at the picture on the right. This is the woman that he allegedly had his eye on and was trying to get in contact with. And you look at her, shameless. She got to make sure her ass is all the way in the pose. Get a good view of my ass. With her tongue out. So she's clearly a shameless whore. But you had a simp, emotional simp, mangina nigga, all right, that was in love with her. In his mind, he's the only one that she wanted to be with. Well, if that's the case, she wouldn't be out taking these kind of pictures and posting it up on the internet and entertaining other men, trying to get the attention of other men. So these Jakes, man, they crashing out hard body over these little young worthless broads, man. It's worthless. Imagine losing your life and crashing out over that. If she gets to move on to the next victim, the next simp, she gets to go on scot-free. All right. But anyway, this is the official story. Basically, the Jake on the left, he got lured into a situation after he contacted her on social media. I guess he was trying to ask her if she had any free time. And that led to them setting up a date. But what he didn't know was it was a play. He was being set up. And she basically came to the boyfriend and notified him that, this dude is trying to go on a date with me. I think we should set something up, so you can, rob this guy. And of course, the young the GMO baby, the crash out, he said, yeah, let's do that. Let's hit this lick. Let's use him as a come up. Since he trying to talk to my girl, right? And this nigga, he shows up and kills the man. What was supposed to be a robbery turned into a murder and an attempted robbery. Fucking idiot. And this is what these men are doing over these little broads these days, man. Now you got the older men that's waking up. You know, you got the whole manosphere thing. They're waking up to the nature of these women. They're getting out of Dodge. They rather go overseas and get, you know, quality women, not this trash. Losing your life over this trash. So this is the news segment.
Jarrell Pryor stayed out of trouble and worked hard raising his daughter Honey until he was set up, ambushed, and shot to death near 49th and Primrose, just north of the state fairgrounds in late January.
I'm broken inside. I'm torn. I'm tore up.
He lost his life for going on a date.
In fact, just a few hours before Tamika and Travis Wiley's son was killed, police believe Pryor messaged this woman, Alexis Hawkins, asking a three-word question, "When you free?" This affidavit claims that while Hawkins agreed to go on a date with Pryor, she simultaneously began messaging her boyfriend, Brian Winston Jr., arranging to rob the unsuspecting victim.
And that's why, see, scriptures is our wisdom, man. Proverbs 6. She deceived that dude. She didn't, you know, take it upon herself to, you know, tell the truth to that man and tell him, I'm not single. I have a boyfriend. I have a husband. I'm with someone. She didn't do that. She, you know, basically agreed to meet with the dude, knowingly. You know, after, I mean, she has yo. These women are wicked, man. These women are they're truly wicked. So let me get this in Proverbs 6. Was it around 24, 25? These women are wicked as hell, man. This is Proverbs 6 and 25, and it says, "Lust not after her beauty in thine heart." And she was just a typical light bright. You know, a lot of Jake, man, they put so much, you know, on the light skin. You know, it's like, I don't care about none of that complexion shit, man. Either you good looking or you not, despite your skin color. And that chick look real average. But Jake be crashing out and losing their mind over these little light skinned bras, man. She was average as hell. She was definitely not worth it. "Lust not after her beauty in thine heart, neither let her take thee with her eyelids. For by means of a whorish woman, a man is brought to a piece of bread, and the adulteress will hunt for the precious life." You know, these women, they can set you up if you ain't careful. You know, it's spooky out there, man. You got to be very careful. You can be used as a lick, and they'll set your ass up.
It was a senseless act, and they didn't get nothing out of it. And they took everything from us. You can't escape this type of pain. You can't. There's no running from it. There's no getting away.
That's senseless.
So all that Jake had to simply do was just, you know, have discipline of the eyes, man. Turn away from these bras, man. You know, because these days is just dangerous. You know, this is Sirach 9 and 8. And it says, "Turn away thine eye from a beautiful woman and look not upon another's beauty." Which, me personally, I don't think she was all that. You know, typical light skin, the fake ass eyelashes. You know, got to look like a thought in every picture. No shame. For many have been deceived by the beauty of a woman, for herewith love is kindled as a fire. And if it would have went any further, verse 9, "Sit not at all with another man's wife, nor sit down with her in thine arms, and spend not thy money with her at the wine, lest thine heart incline unto her, and so through thy desire thou fall into destruction." You know, and you know, these women will seduce you, and these men, they get weak, and you know, that's when she can have you where she wants you. You know, so you got to be careful in these day and times, man. These people, these people don't care, especially these broads, man, these young broads. I'm hearing too many stories of dudes getting put to death, falling for these chicks, man, falling for these whores. They'll catch their victim and have them brought back to a room only to drug them, rob them, put them to death, shoot them, or have some men come in and rob them. That been going on for a while, man. Even I remember when Cube did a track on it called "Can't Trust Him." It was on his Lethal Injection album, if I'm not mistaken. Just go listen to that song. Can't trust him. They've been moving like that. All right, so let me go from there. This is Sirach 42. Yeah, Sirach 42, and starting at 12, it says, "Behold not everybody's beauty, and sit not in the midst of women." And yeah, men love nothing more than a beautiful woman. It cheers the countenance. We know that women is the glory of a man, pursuing the 1 Corinthians 11 chapter. But still, even in that, you got to be disciplined enough and have discernment. But when you're young, that's not, you don't have enough life experience, and you're naive and you don't know what's going on. You can very well fall into this. That's why, you got an advantage when you are young and you come into this truth. Seek the Lord while you in your youth, like it says in Ecclesiastes 12. And these young dudes losing their lives or losing their livelihood over these little young broads, man. Chicks can't even cook. They can't even boil a freaking egg. About to burn the house down, trying to, cook breakfast and don't even know how to cook. All she can offer you is what she offered him, and the dude before him. Used up. It says, "For from garments cometh a moth, and from women wickedness." And that's exactly what came from her. And both of them fell for it. And both, he lost his life in this crash dummy. He loses his freedom. So this nigga, he's not gonna see the the light of day. All right. Well, the only light he gonna see is when the flare from them nuclear missiles when they detonate over America, man. That's how long he's gonna be in there until he see that. For crashing out over this average ass broad right here, this little shameless. The scriptures say a shameless woman shall be counted as a bitch. She that is shamefaced will fear the Lord. So let me grab another one. That's why it says in Sirach 25, "Of the women came the beginning of sin, and through her we all die." So you got to be real careful, man. Well, let me get that in. Was that first Esdras? Well, the first Esdras 4, and then I'm gonna close it out. I'm not gonna make this long, super long. First Esdras 4. Yes, first Esdras 4, and I'm gonna start at. I'll start at 22. It says, "By this also you must know that women have dominion over you. Do you not labor and toil and give and bring all to the woman?" And a lot of these simps, that's exactly what they do, and still get creaked out on. No respect. And I don't be feeling bad for these dudes that's still marrying them either. I don't feel for any of them. At this day and age, you should already know better. Yet a man take of his sword and go of his way to rob and to steal. And in the case of homeboy, and to kill too. And she and the woman put him up to that. It says to sail upon the sea and upon rivers, and look upon a lion, and goeth in darkness, and when he have stolen, spoiled, and robbed, he bringeth it to his love. So if he would have came up off a homeboy, it would all went to her. She was the one that came up with the idea. That dude clearly didn't have a father, man. You know, he clearly didn't have a father to fall for that. Just because a light-skinned chick is choosing to deal with you for the moment. So you got your head up her box. Her stank ass box, man. So this is proving that these statements, these are wise statements, right? It says, wherefore a man loveth his wife better than father or mother, yet many there be that have run out of their wits for women and become servants for their sakes. And this is what you see time after time after time, man. All you can do is just, shake your head, man. Everybody involved pretty much takes the L. Nobody won in this situation. Now imagine, if we was living in a society where the law was enforced, all right, when the government upheld the law of the Most High in the land, none of this would be a thing. All right? Because she'd be with her husband and she wouldn't be out there trying to get attention. All right? And this man, he would know that another man's woman is off limits. Because that would be adultery, and that's a punishable offense to death. So he didn't even get a chance to even, get to it, and got his life took. But that's what would have happened if she continued to entertain it. So, yeah, man, this was unfortunate, but this was also judgment at the end of the day. But there's lessons in all these different situations. That's why it's good to get in them scriptures, man, and have it in your mind and apply it in your daily walk. Because it'll actually deliver you from situations. So anyway, with that, let me give all honor, all praise, and glory to Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. To the next one, Shalom.